Welcome back to 5 Minute Fantasy Football, presented to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you go over to Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FFSGPN so they know we sent you. We are going to continue to use the higher on the touchdowns for Derrick Henry. Every week, it's been a great building block, and that's going to be the start of our pick'em this week. So let's get a sneak peek at my rankings, and then let's talk about my streaming options for this week. Again, it's 5 Minute Fantasy Football, so we're going to be quick here. My top 12 quarterbacks: Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Jordan Love at 5, Joe Burrow at 6, Baker Mayfield at 7. We have Sam Darnold at 8, and then Brock Purdy at 9, CJ Stroud 10, Geno Smith 11, and Kyler Murray at 12. For the running back position, and I will update everything as we get more news because, of course, on Thursday you don't have all the news. My number one running back is Saquon Barkley. Gets the revenge game against the Giants. Expect a lot of touchdowns, a lot of fun for Barkley, not a lot of fun for the Giants. Derrick Henry at 2, Kyren Williams at 3, Bijan Robinson at 4, Alvin Kamara, tough night against Denver. Just Spencer Rattler stinks, and Alvin Kamara almost got killed a few times tonight. Ken Walker at 6, Joe Mixon at 7, Chuba Hubbard at 8. Chuba Hubbard is playing great football. He's really, it could be a trade candidate at the deadline for the Cowboys and teams like that. Tony Pollard at 9, Breece Hall at 10, J.K. Dobbins at 11, and Josh Jacobs. Breece Hall, someone I could move up based on the volume last week. 87% of the touches is great to see for someone, any running back. And this offense really, they really liked him. I really like what Todd Downing did with his Breece Hall usage. My wide receivers, number one wide receiver on the week is going to be Justin Jefferson, then Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Nabers should be back, Chris Godwin at 6, Drake London at 7, DK Metcalf at 8, Jaden Reed at 9, Stephon Diggs at 10, Deontay Johnson at 11, and at 12, Terry McLaurin. As far as the tight end position, we have we're going to look at our streamers in a little bit. But first, my top is Travis Kelce, then George Kittle, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Evan Ingram, Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts, Tucker Kraft, Dalton Kincaid, Dalton Schultz, David Njoku, and then Zach Ertz. And then let's go to the streamers. Let's get straight to it. With the streamers this week, my top quarterback streamer every week feels like every week has been Kirk Cousins. But there was people dropping Kirk Cousins this week. I don't know why. Seattle's not a scary matchup, and I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins as my stream of the week. He gets the Falcons in what could be a shootout of a game, and you have Drake London playing great, Bijan Robinson's playing great, and Kyle Pitts is starting to wake up. Kirk Cousins has been absolutely fantastic 3 weeks in a row. No, it wasn't as good last week, but they played the Panthers. And they didn't have to pass as much as they have in the last couple weeks. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville Jaguars, New England. I know everyone's down on Lawrence, and I get it. But he looked much better with Evan Ingram last week, and that was a tough Bears defense. They get New England. New England's been tough against the quarterback position for fantasy football, but overall, it's really not a tough defense, and I really love the weapons. Brian Thomas Jr. is legit. You have Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and you have this backfield, which, there's second thoughts about this backfield. But again, the Bears defense was pretty tough, and Etienne's dealing with a shoulder injury. Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram, I think they have big weeks. Trevor Lawrence has a big week against New England, and you see him get on the ground and run the ball a little bit as well. Matthew Stafford, Las Vegas, pretty much just waving the white flag. Max Crosby's not going to play this week. Devontae Adams is traded. Some other players aren't playing. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for Antonio Pierce. And they got Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. I'm not interested in anyone on the Raiders, but I am interested in playing anyone against the Raiders. And Matthew Stafford could be getting his Breakfast Club buddy back, Cooper Kupp, and also some pieces of the offensive line. I like Stafford this week. Carolina Panthers, Andy Dalton is your deep streamer for those that say none of these guys were available. David Njoku, Mark Cooper's out of town. They're going to try to see what they got with Cedric Tillman. Him and Jamari Thrash should get a little bit more run. But the guy that I think gets the most benefits, David Njoku. Last week was his first week back from injury. Look for Njoku to get more involved in this offense. And the Bengals have been susceptible to the tight end position. Njoku in the past has been good against them as well. Njoku can do a lot of damage after the catch. And despite Deshaun Watson, he could be good, but I'm really hoping Jameis Winston gets in there because that would be good for everybody. Dalton Schultz, Houston Texans at the Green Bay Packers. Yes, the Green Bay Packers have shut down tight ends all year, but Dalton Schultz is attached to CJ Stroud, and there's no Nico Collins. Tank Dell, he's a little banged up as well. Look for Dalton Schultz to be one of the key options in the red zone. Another matchup that's going to have a high total. And so I want pieces of it. And Dalton Schultz is a good piece of this offense. It's going to see continued more work the more time that Nico Collins misses. Last one is Pat Freiermuth for the tight ends. Pat Freiermuth against the Jets. Yes, the Jets are good against the defense, are good against anybody. But we've seen a changing of the guard. Russell Wilson expected to start. We know Arthur Smith likes to use the tight end position. With more passing, we should see more. We should see more of the tight ends and more Pat Freiermuth. So I'm going to go with this one. It's a little bit more of a dart. I'm not as confident as I am in Dalton Schultz, but I do think this could be a good option this week with a Steelers and Jets team, which is going to be a fun game. The Jets are reeling, but they just got Devontae Adams, and the Steelers are 4-2. So, what's it going to look like with Russell Wilson now that they've benched Justin Fields? Deeper option, Grant Calcaterra. He looked good last week. He hits the Giants this week with Dallas Goedert expected to be out. Philadelphia Eagles at the Giants. Again, Giants they're in a rough spot. They lost Kayvon Thibodeau last week. They got a bunch of guys that are questionable or injured. Yes, they get Malik Nabers back, but they lose their all-pro left tackle, Andrew Thomas. And this offensive line was awful last year when Andrew Thomas was out. So look for Philly to take advantage of that. Daniel Jones does not play well from behind. He's already a turnover-prone quarterback. Very concerned about Daniel Jones and the New York Giants against this Eagles defense this week. My stream of the week is the Bengals at the Browns. The Browns pretty much lead in every category in a bad way. They are 32nd in yards. They are 30th in points. They are 32nd as far as sacks. So they're first as far as most sacks given up. And if they do make a quarterback move, you get Jameis Winston. That's, he's known for taking sacks and throwing picks. So everything's good. Everything points to good things for the Bengals. Go pick them up if they're available. Los Angeles Rams versus Raiders, same narrative as before. Raiders are waving the white flag. The Rams are looking to get right. I think the Rams can take advantage of this matchup. And then for a deeper pick, the Colts, Miami Dolphins are still without Tua. This offense it's a really complicated offense, and it's really hard for anyone else to run. We'll see after the bye week if they can figure some stuff out, but I think the Colts take advantage of Miami. They lost a lot of key pieces on the offensive line this offseason on top of not having Tua there. The Colts could be a deep play. Again, this is 5-Minute Fantasy Football, sponsored by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. As always, good luck this season.